So everyone, we hope you've enjoyed this last episode of the Japanese sword, but before we go, I'm going to show you just a little bit of sword etiquette and how to clean your blade. So check this out. You know, it's like anything else. You can over clean a blade. You can. Most blades that have come in, if you use too much Uchiko powder or it balls up on the piece, or if you're not using the proper pieces to do it, you could scratch the blade very easily. So it's like anything else. I typically never clean blades. Sometimes it's just a matter of just replacing the oil. But you know, a lot of good sword shops will supply a special kind of paper that's very, very soft on the hands. A lot of times it's hard to get. So I'm going to tell you, cosmetic ovals work great too for applying oil. And again, you do not reuse these. You wipe, you throw them away, and you keep them locked up so that no contaminant gets on these today. So, you know, other little tools, a little wooden hammer and a block if you have to remove the tang of the piece off, and you can't just do it normally. And then, of course, a small hammer that's used to take the Minuki peg out of the blade if you cannot get that out yourself. So it all depends. So I've seen this done a bunch of different times, but this particular kit I managed to receive from a polisher from Japan. The Uchiko powder itself, as they say, it's from the Uchiko Mori stone, which is the last final stone that's used on the blade. So it's, as they say, a continuation of the polishing process. A very, very fine powder. Again, a little goes a long way. And what that does is the Uchiko powder is going to go ahead and remove the old oil and contaminants off the surface so that you can really, really, really appreciate the blade. Because as you see some of the blades, as I'm rolling them in the light, if you see little specks, dots, all this other stuff, you're seeing little droplets of oil. And again, same thing with the oiling of the blade. I've seen guys oversaturate that. It could create condensation. So a light coating of the oil is the better way to go. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Again, just etiquette. You know, the blade itself, we're going to always draw. Let's say if this is too tight, don't jerk the blade out of the thing. What you would do is you would cup your hand here, get them close and break it. You could break it loose a lot easier. You don't want to fumble with a sword and pull it out so quickly that it could scar the blade or you can cut yourself. So if it's tight, this one is not, you would just basically get it, break it, gently draw it out on the spine. Again, sending the sheath down. If you need to take a break, you can enjoy, look at the piece, set it down on top of a pillow and rest it while you're getting your supplies ready. So I'm going to go ahead and get the Uchiko powder ready to rock and roll. And again, just for you, I'm going to break this out of my stash and use some of the paper specifically for this operation. Of course, I'm just going to break off a very small amount. Whoopsie. Being careful, even where you set this paper, we're gonna set this on stuff where you absolutely know you don't have any kind of contaminants whatsoever. Paper and cloths, you know, they even say you could use a cheap, unscented, you know, like Kleenex cloth, I've been told, you know, just being careful. So what we're gonna do, we have our oil. The clove oil is great. Could you use a light oil? Yeah, you could use just about any kind of light oil, but you got to be careful because if there's certain type of inhibitors or chemicals inside the oil, it could stain the blade. So I stick to the chojo oil that I get from these Japanese sword shops. Don't buy this stuff through Etsy. Don't buy this stuff through eBay. Just go and Google a good sword shop out of Tokyo and get the stuff right directly from them. Again, these swords are your investment and do require preservation and care. So, you know, it's very, very easy. And what I could do is if the guys remind me, I'll list a shop that I use. I don't have it off the top of my head. That I buy all my tsukamaki, all my supplies, stones, this, that, everything. I buy from everything and they're super reliable. Great, great shop out of Tokyo. So, all right. I'm going to go ahead and remove the Minuki pin. This one should come out relatively easy. And again, remove the habaki. Set it here, set that there. Make sure everything's good. Just take a quick look. And we're going to start out again with the Uchiko powder. Again, a little goes a long, long way. So don't bang on the surface of the sword. You're going to hit it on the what's called the mune, or the spine, and you're going to just gently and let that fall onto the G, as you could see here, just enough. Just a light dusting. Now what we're going to do, very, very, very carefully, wiping with the length proportion of the steel. And I mean lightly. Somebody would be there to go ahead and remove all the oil particulate. The Uchiko powder removes the oil particulate from the surface of the steel. I'm going to get inside that groove just a little bit. So let's say if I were to go to a shinsa or go and study the swords, somebody would be there to go ahead and remove all the oil particulate off the steel so that you could see its natural, beautiful beauty in light. And looking at the blades is very important because certain light works, certain light does not. Candlelight, actually, to study these sword blades, that frequency is the best for looking at the grains of these steels. So that's something I've learned over the course of time. You know, scattered light or blue light, not that great. But if you're equivalent to what a candlelight would bring, you can clearly see every single detail and flaw for that matter. And again, as you're doing this, you need to be careful not to run your fingers across this blade. These things, usually if they've been properly polished, or what I call beyond razor sharp, one slip and you're going to know it in an instant. Let's see, again, got to get, you know, if you have horimono or you have bohi grooves, again, being very careful. I'm going to go ahead and flip this one over, just take a quick look. Make sure I got into that groove. Looks like I got everything off. I'll go ahead and run get in that bottom groove on the blade and then pull straight because the grain is running this way in the polish. This one here is one flowing tip. I forgot the actual terminology off the top of my head. So once you're done with this paper, do not reuse it, discard it. So now, if I want to enjoy the blade, of course, I could just study the blade. There's no oil particulate. It's just the steel and you and the light. So the whole idea, don't touch the blades. Don't touch the blades. They're pure carbon steel. They can imprint and rust and corrode on you in a New York second if you're not careful. So we don't typically ever clean the tang. Of course, this one's still, you can see the file markings and the signatures and who it was for from Yoshindo's son. Of course, I got some light scratches in this particular blade because when I did receive it, again, being improperly cleaned, you could see that some scarring had been done on the G itself. Now, a good polisher can do a very, very light G work on here to fix that if I ever want to send these back out to go ahead and get that done. So after studying the blade, we're good to go. Go ahead and set that down for just a moment. Okay. And again, same thing. Gonna get the cloth. Should have had it facing this way. It's okay. Same thing. Very lightly. not being hasty. Go ahead and wipe a nice layer of the choju oil on the blade. Again, I'm not running a bead of oil on the surface. Just filling that grain back up. And she's perfect. Now at that point, one more on the base. There's something very gratifying, you know, no sense of collecting these things if you clearly cannot enjoy them. I'm going to go ahead and very carefully put the habaki back on, which is the collar. Seating of the handle, being very, very careful. Being stern in the hand, drop it, give it a tap, reinsert the Manuki pin tightly. And just for theatrics, well to the blade. And we'll strike the gong. Domo arigato gozaimasu. We hope you've enjoyed this last episode of The Japanese Sword. Stay tuned.